If you're a teacher using or trying to use differentiated instruction, this video is for you because what if I told you we've been doing it wrong all along? We're applying this strategy in a way that does more harm to our students than good. Hi, I'm Sir Z. I've been teaching science to grades 4, 5, and 6 here in the Philippines for 11 years, and through those years, I've seen a pattern. Lesson exemplars, sample plans, and classroom practices that claim to be differentiated, but end up overwhelming both teachers and students. Whether you're new to differentiated instruction or have been doing it for years, this video will help you reflect, rethink, and refresh your teaching strategies. Let's take a closer look at what's really happening. Differentiated instruction is supposed to be one of the most effective teaching strategies in the classroom. It's flexible, it's adaptive, and ideally, it's the backbone that helps us reach every learner using a mix of teaching approaches that respond to their needs. But somewhere along the way, we've misunderstood the point. I'm not speaking as an expert here, but as a fellow teacher who's been there just like you, and just like you, I've downloaded and adopted countless lesson exemplars over the years. Thinking did help improve my teaching, and after trying many of them in real classroom with real students, I realized they're not working as intended. That's what I want to talk about with you in this video, what I've observed, what went wrong, and what we can do differently to make differentiated instruction truly meaningful for our students. Before we zoom in on what's happening here in the Philippines, let's take a quick look at how differentiated instruction is practiced in other countries and why their versions actually work. Let's start with Finland. In Finnish classrooms, differentiation doesn't mean overwhelming students with too many activities at once. Instead, it means giving learners just enough support or challenge at the right time. Teachers might adjust the level of reading, offer visuals or hands-on options, or slow down when needed. The key is that every student is doing the same core activity, but with subtle tweaks that meet their needs. No chaos, no overload, just clear, focused learning. Now take Singapore. While they use a digital platform called the Student Learning Space to provide flexibility, it doesn't mean every student is doing a totally different task all the time. Instead, across a unit or week, students are exposed to a variety of ways to learn, like watching videos, solving problems, doing projects, or reflecting on their progress. They still follow one clear objective, but the learning experience shifts over time, not all at once. And that's the point. Differentiation doesn't have to mean dividing students into separate tasks all at the same time. In fact, it works better when differentiated instruction is spread out, clear goals, focused experiences, and different approaches across the week. Now let's talk about what's really happening here in the Philippines when it comes to differentiated instruction. If you ask a teacher how they apply it, the usual answer goes like this. I divide the class into groups and assign each group a different task. In other cases, I've seen lesson exemplars that go even further, squeezing 3, 4, even 5 different activities into a single 45-minute session. The goal? To give students a variety of learning experiences all at once. At first glance, this sounds like a good idea, right? Creative, engaging, flexible, and we can even consider it as innovative. But let's pause for a moment. Teachers, are we really helping our students with this kind of approach? Or are we overwhelming them and ourselves? Let's look deeper. When you review many of the downloadable lesson exemplars and session guides we often rely on, you'll notice a pattern. Each session includes multiple different activities like group works, worksheets, games, presentations, all crammed into one short class. And each task, it barely lasts 10 to 15 minutes before we rush to the next one. The result, students jump from one thing to another. Although they're having fun, this fails to give them enough time to process, reflect, or even understand the concept being taught. Learning becomes fragmented, surface level, and often meaningless. Why are we doing this? Well, here are some common intentions and the real consequences behind them. Intention 1. Offer variety so everyone stays engaged. What really happens? We overload the session with too many different tasks. The pace becomes chaotic. Like I said, even though they are having fun doing each task, students, however, don't have time to go deeper with any one activity. So the actual result, rush, shallow learning. Students are busy, yes, but not necessarily learning. Intention 2. Show the principal or supervisor that our lesson is differentiated. What really happens? We spend hours designing flashy lesson plans with colorful materials, not because our students did it, but because we want to impress observers. The result? The lesson becomes lesson plan centered, not learner centered. We focus more on form than function, on performance rather than purpose. And intention 3, cover everything fast. We're pressed for time. What happens? We rush through tasks to meet curriculum deadlines indicated in our curriculum guides, skipping moments for reflection and clarification. Misconceptions are left unaddressed. The result? Outputs may be complete, but understanding is incomplete. Students are left confused and teachers feel burned out. And here's the heart of the problem. We're over-differentiating within one session, but under-differentiating over the week. We're not really differentiating based on what our students need. We're differentiating based on what looks good on paper. We tick the DI box in our lesson plans, but miss the real purpose of differentiated instruction, to give every learner a clear, meaningful pathway to master one concept deeply. Let me say this again because it matters. Differentiated instruction is not about how many activities you can cram into one period. It's about how intentionally you guide your students through a concept at a pace that makes sense, with experiences that make learning stick. Because if we overload a 45-minute class with too many moving parts, we don't support our students. We confuse them, we rush them, and worst of all, we rob them of the chance to truly understand what matters. Let's step back for a while and talk about what differentiated instruction really means. It's not just about dividing students into groups and giving them different activities at the same time. Instead, think of it as designing a learning experience that unfolds across time, where all students work toward the same goal, but each day offers a different kind of access point. At its core, differentiated instruction is about one goal, many paths. Everything is working towards the same learning objective, but through varied activities spread throughout the week, giving each learner a chance to shine in ways that suit them best. Proactive planning. You don't wait to adjust in the middle of a lesson. You map out the entire week, knowing that Monday might involve a hands-on task, Tuesday a group discussion, and so on. Purposeful variety. Rather than running multiple activities at once, you plan your class to focus on one well-designed task per session. But the type of task changes from day to day to support different strengths and learning styles. Consistent checks for understanding. Every session gives you a fresh opportunity to observe, confer, and adjust, not just in the moment but for the next day's strategy. If we keep that stripped-down definition in mind, the rest of the conversation suddenly gets clearer. Differentiated instruction isn't about cramming an assortment of flashy tasks into one period. It's about deliberate, learner-centered adjustments that make a single concept click for everyone. So where do we go from here? First, we flip the spotlight back to the people who actually matter, our students. True differentiated instruction begins long before the lesson planning. It starts with asking three brutally honest questions. What do my own learners already know? And where are the gaps? What fires them up? Like their strengths, interests, learning styles, even favorite TikTok trends. Where do they struggle? In skills, stamina, confidence? Only when we have those answers can we design tasks that feel just right for this class this week. Remember, the original research on differentiated instruction is crystal clear. It's about responding to readiness, interests, and learning profiles of the students, not about stuffing the period with every activity under the sun. So what can we do instead? How can we apply differentiated instruction in a way that actually helps our student go deeper without exhausting them or ourselves? Maybe it's time we rethink how we're applying it, because if we're trying to squeeze every form of learning in every single session, we're doing too much all at once. So instead of cramming all those strategies into one day, why don't we spread them across the entire week instead? What if each day offered different kind of learning experience, just one focused learning experience, so students stay engaged, focused, and excited for what's next in the coming days? Let's look at a few practical fixes you can already start using tomorrow. These are simple shifts you can make to apply differentiated instruction more meaningfully, without the chaos and without the overload. 1. Name a single North Star objective. That's the main goal of your lesson, the one key thing you want students to understand or do by the end. Post it on the board, repeat it throughout the session, and make sure your activities lead back to it. When students know the focus, they learn with direction. 2. Differentiate one dimension at a time. Process, product, or content. You don't have to change everything at once. Just pick one area to adjust for your students. You either pick process, which focuses more on how they'll learn. Example, group work versus individual tasks. Or product, which is about what they'll produce. Example, quiz versus drawing. Or maybe content, what they'll study. Example, easier versus more advanced material. Don't try to change all three in one class. It will overwhelm both you and your students. 3. Keep it unified. One well-designed activity for the whole class. You don't need to divide the class into groups to run 2 or 3 different activities at the same time just to say it's differentiated. That kind of setup can be overwhelming for you, the teacher, in terms of preparation and checking. And it limits the students because they only get to experience one version of the lesson. Instead, give the same task to everyone, but adjust the level of support, the pace, or the grouping. This way, you simplify the preparation while still meeting your students' varied needs. Differentiation doesn't always mean doing more. It means doing it more purposefully. 4. Drop microchecks every 10 minutes. Use quick informal checks to see if students are still with you. Examples: thumbs up or down, small digital poll, show answers using mini whiteboards or hand signs. Allow the students to approach or call you for assistance or clarification, and personally check on them occasionally or constantly to make sure they're on the right track. It gives you a real-time feedback and gives them a moment to pause and reflect. And 5. End with one reflective prompt. Always wrap up the lesson by asking students to reflect, even just for a minute. You can try an exit card where they write one thing they've learned, a quick voice recording using their phone or tablet, a 2-sentence summary of the key concept in their own words during the wrap-up session. This helps students process what they learned and helps you check if the objective of the teaching was truly met. Now let's take this a step further. According to our curriculum guide, most learning competencies are designed to be taught and mastered within 1 week or 2 weeks, right? But honestly, I don't go with that. I prefer to localize the layout of my own lessons to better fit my own group of learners. So instead of following lesson exemplars made by someone else teaching in a classroom condition different from ours, squeezing every strategy into just one day, why not spread out differentiated instruction across the entire week? And each day is just all about 1 or 2 uniquely designed and planned experience. That way, each day offers a unique learning experience and every activity builds to one clear concept goal by the end of the week. This not only keeps learners engaged, it gives them the time and space they need to understand, reflect, and apply what they are learning. Let me walk you through my own weekly structure for my own lessons that's simple, purposeful, and exciting for my students while it is still aligned with the curriculum. Take note, this is my own template for my science classes in grades 4, 5, and 6, but the same idea can be applied to any subject you're teaching. Just remember, the goal is to give students a different kind of learning experience each day, something that keeps them engaged today and excited to come back tomorrow. Here in this table, Day and Focus tells us what each day is mainly about, like whether it's for exploring, discussing, applying, or assessing. Main Activity describes the 4 tasks or strategy we'll use with the students that day, and what differentiates shows how we adjust the activity to match the students' different levels, whether by giving varied materials, offering support, or changing the task based on their needs. On Monday, this is our experiment or exploration day. Students either in groups or pairs will perform experiments before the lesson concept is formally taught, meaning in this day, the teacher will not yet teach nor discuss the actual lesson. The goal is for them, the students, to discover the key idea on their own through hands-on experience. During the activity, they will record their observations and collect data, which they will then use to brainstorm and prepare a presentation, a report, or share their findings with the class the next day. So that's gonna be their assignment. Prepare data for sharing or group reporting tomorrow. Tuesday is what I call concept top day. We start by recalling what students did the day before, then each group or pair shares their experiences from the experiment or exploration activity. This sharing encourages questions and ideas from the rest of the class, making it a lively discussion. And finally, it is in this day that the teacher will actually teach and formally explain the concept, helping the students connect what they observe and experience on their own yesterday to the bigger idea or the intended learning from the lesson. Kumbaga, this is the day that the teacher will tell the class, now you know. Wednesday is a flexible day designed to reinforce or supplement learning. This could mean either continuing the discussion if necessary or doing similar activities, but this time with the concept in mind. Watch a prepared lesson video and share reaction afterwards, perform related drama or role-playing, or even playing educational games that help deepen understanding and make practice fun. That is why I have said at the onset of this video that differentiated instruction is for me the best teaching strategy to use because it is the most flexible strategy to integrate all the other teaching approaches you might need to use for your own class. Thursday is always a favorite. It's our project or science art day. On this day, students step away from the usual routine to express what they've learned in a creative, personal way through art projects, models, or hands-on creations using different materials. We start the day with a quick recall of the discussion from the previous day, and then we proceed to give instructions on what to do and how to do it. And of course, making sure they have the tools and materials prepared. If they'll be able to finish the project today and there's enough time left, the students will be presenting their completed project and discuss about it in front of the class before ending the session. But if they are not able to finish them, it's okay. We're gonna do the presentation the next day instead before starting the scheduled session for that day. And finally, Friday is for assessment and reflection. We begin with an engaging review activity to energize the class and prepare them for the quiz that follows. After the quiz and grading, we take time to analyze which questions were challenging, discuss these areas in a quick review, and plan any remedial sessions if needed. So by the end of the week, every student has encountered the same concept through 5 distinct, spaced out, and purposeful experiences, all without the rush and overwhelm of cramming too much into a single session. This approach keeps learning exciting, manageable, and effective. This idea came to me after years of teaching and closely observing how my students actually learn. I noticed that whenever I scheduled an experiment or hands-on task after our quick review and giving instructions, my learners would use almost the entire remaining time, fully focused, just trying to perform the activity well. At first I thought maybe I was doing something wrong, but then I saw how much they were enjoying it, how engaged they were, how immersed they became in the experience. That's when it clicked for me. It's not about rushing through activities, it's about adjusting my strategy to match their pace, their way of learning. If you want a more detailed weekly plan based on what I've shared, just check the link in the description box below. You can download the pre-copy. Feel free to use it or adapt it for your own classes. And remember, even if you teach a different subject, the key idea remains the same. Design a week-long plan that gives your students a variety of learning experiences each day. So here's a big takeaway. Differentiated instruction isn't about how many activities you can squeeze into one session. It's about how well you know your students and how intentionally you guide them step by step toward real lasting learning. Let's move away from lesson plans designed just to impress and start building experiences that truly support, engage, and excite our students every single day. Because when done right and paced across the week, differentiated instruction isn't just a buzzword. It becomes a mindset, a classroom culture, and a strategy that works for all learners. Now I'd love to hear from you. How do you apply differentiated instruction in your own class? What works and what doesn't? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this video helped you reflect, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you won't miss the next teaching ideas I'll be sharing in the future. Better yet, share this video with your fellow teachers who might find it helpful too. This is RZ reminding you that great teaching is not about doing more, but more about doing what truly matters. Stay creative, fellow teachers. Keep on exploring, and I'll see you in the next one.